This is the Gamescom preview edition. It's a thing. It's growing. There will be 1,500 exhibitors. That's 40 more than last year.
Wow.
72 different countries are present. That's 8 more than the year before. Nothing massive, but I worked in events. I've worked at Repop. I worked across E3, and I know exactly what's going on in that space, and it isn't good. There's declines across the board.
Yeah.
So the fact it's surviving, let alone growing, is pretty amazing. Battlefield 6.
Aha, yes.
It's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
So it's beaten the Steam peak for Call of Duty.
Call of Duty Warzone is still better for streamers because in a Warzone match, there is a story in it.
And now for a sponsored message from Keyword Studios. Passionate fandoms are the bedrock of a successful video game franchise, and our friends at Keyword Studios have a mission to cultivate that fandom. Keyword Studios' marketing services bring together expertise in research, strategy, creative production, social media, PR, and community management to help you build your audience and connect with your fans. These marketing services bring together award-winning marketing agencies, including trailer production studios, PR specialists, and social media and community experts. With teams in North America, Europe, and Asia, Keyword supports video game marketers across the globe to produce campaigns for gaming's biggest titles. They may be marketers, but they're gamers first. And for nearly 2 decades, they've been putting their love of video games into everything they do, helping marketers connect with their fans. From indie to AAA and from mobile to PC to console, Keyword supports studios with marketing services across the entire life cycle of their game. To learn more, visit www.keywordstudios.com. Now, back to the show. Hello and welcome to the Game Business Show. This show kicks off our Gamescom coverage, which has been sponsored by Green Man Gaming and Keyword Studios. We have a whole host of shows and newsletters for you over the next 2 weeks, including a live panel recording, which we're doing on Wednesday in Cologne. You can read all about that in our newsletter. But for this week, it's our Gamescom preview, and we speak to the German Trade Association about the event. We will also talk about the latest European market data, PlayStation shifting away from being a hardware-centric business, Battlefield 6 delivering big numbers, and some more games industry financials. But to help me talk about all this, we have a returning guest host. She's a video game media expert, podcaster, producer, writer, and presenter from GameSpot and the FPS Podcast. It's Lucy James. Hello, Lucy. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me again. It's lovely to be back. How are you?
I'm all right. Well, I think I've got better at this since you last joined.
You did great.
You're basically one of my first shows.
They're on the ground floor.
After Stephen Tortillo, you were the second we had on. How are you doing? What's going on?
Well, it's the lead to Gamescom. This week, it is packed for us, finalizing appointments, making sure we have all the equipment. I head out at the weekend. And this is my 10th or 11th Gamescom.
Have you missed one? Or have you done them all?
I think the only ones I would have missed would have been during COVID.
Yeah.
So other than that, I think I've been to every single one since I've been working in games. So I'm eager to get back. As someone who now lives in America, it's a good place to see a lot of people who I don't get to see that often. But other than that, been very busy over on the GameSpot side. I did Summer Game Fest with Jeff.
Yes, that was fun, I imagine. Was it like working with Jeff, Lucy?
Honestly, Jeff and his team made it. I think if I thought about how many people would have ultimately watched it, it would have been way more anxiety inducing than it actually was. Jeff and his team, professionals, and just made the process so easy. And I think it also helped that the amount of people who are actually in the room with you is not that many, a couple thousand. And I was like, I've done that before. But then afterwards, my dad sent me the link and he went, how many people watched this? And I didn't need to know that. I didn't fall over. I didn't, become a meme. That was my 2 big things that I didn't want to happen. And that didn't happen. It seemed to have gone down well. It was a great experience. I couldn't have asked for anything more.
Yeah. He's all right, isn't he?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it was awesome. And just, being backstage, and it's such a huge production as well. That's the thing, and everything is so professional. Like I had a floor manager who would take me around places and make sure that I was hitting my mark. And it was just it was so much more professional than anything I think I've ever experienced before, which is, saying something because I've been doing this for such a long time.
I have to say, I was so intimidated when I started sending him videos of this. When we started working together, because I said, I think he's the producer, right? He's the games industry producer, right? And every time I send him, yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I like it. I'm like, surely some notes.
No.
He's just,
No.
easygoing. Well, Gamescom, it's become an essential event. So let's talk about Gamescom, because this is the Gamescom preview edition.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing. It's growing.
Mm.
It's not huge growth. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's double digit, but there will be 1,500 exhibitors there this year, over 1,500. That's 40 more than last year.
Wow.
72 different countries are present. That's 8 more than the year before. 3,000 square meters more than they had last year. Nothing massive, but I worked in events. I've worked at Repop. I worked across E3, and I know exactly what's going on in that space, and it isn't good. There's declines across the board happening. Some things are starting to improve. PAX is starting to come back a little bit and stuff like that. In the UK, the event scene has just collapsed, really.
Yeah.
So the fact it's surviving, let alone growing, is pretty amazing. And of course, there's more than one Gamescom now. They've got a show in Brazil. They've got one in Asia. The Asia show is in Thailand this year. I think Thailand's the partner company of Gamescom in Germany as well. So got loads of things going on. So I had to sort of ask the Gamescom folks, how are they doing it? I caught up with Felix Volk. He's the managing director of the confusingly named GAME, which stands for the German Games Industry Association. It doesn't stand for that, but that's what they are. But anyway, here's part of that interview. What can business attendees expect? What can we expect from that side of things?
It's going up again. We've seen almost 2 years of tough times in the global games industry, also in Germany, but globally. And starting with last year's Gamescom, we saw a signal that it's coming. It's getting there again, and it's going in the right direction. And I think this year's Gamescom, which from what we can see right now, will be even bigger and more exciting and more colorful, that the industry is coming back in a very positive way. So I think generally it's tough to tell, because Gamescom is a 360-degree festival. So it's hard to pick some things out, but in every corner of what we can see now, there's a great development, and I think it will be a great year at Gamescom.
I'm obviously based in the UK, and our event scene has basically collapsed. We don't really have one anymore. EGX still exists within Comic-Con, and there's a few little small things, but really it's we don't have a major event anymore in the UK. And I see, I worked with Repop for a little while, and I knew some of the struggles they had with bringing PAX back, and it's got going again, but it's still smaller than it was, pre-pandemic. Gamescom appears to be growing. It seems it's not scaling back. It's not closing things. It's doing the opposite to that. Is it purely the brand? How have you managed to avoid the fate that some other events are struggling with?
It's a mix, I would say. I mean, when we faced COVID, we went right into it and said we're gonna do a pure digital Gamescom, no matter what. We don't cancel, which almost everyone else did. So within 4 months, we put a pure digital Gamescom
together.
Put it together. And also the year after, we also had to cancel the on-site experience and had to do a digital one. So this helped us because we learned a lot and we invested a lot. So we took the time in the past years to invest heavily on digital reach and on partnerships. And we also adjusted the whole concept. Don't take everyone for granted who is needed to come to Gamescom to experience, but also to be present with platform festivals everywhere where the community is. So this is one part. The second part is the great support and involvement of our members. So we do have the main committee of Gamescom. These are the most important exhibitors and members of ours as Game Association. So they are deeply involved and they are committed because it's their brand. Of course, we do it in strong partnership together with Köln Messe. I mean, we as an association wouldn't know how to deal with 300 plus 1,000 people on site with everything. I'm really happy that we do have a professional partner, but the core strategy, the core competence and the core brand and the rights and everything, that's within the industry, and they support us a lot. So I think these are some parts of why we are lucky and really delighted that we are stronger than ever before.
It's interesting because obviously it didn't work for E3, right? So they obviously did a digital event and then they invested in that. And they have obviously members, the ESA have members, some of them the same ones that you have. Is it, because Gamescom's so massive, and it's got such a wide footprint, and it can be different things to different people. It could be a business show, it could be a digital thing, it could be a consumer show. It's so many different things. Is that the reason why you think you managed to get those partners to keep supporting, because you could serve their needs rather depending on what they are, rather than having to get them to all agree on one thing?
Totally right. I mean, that's the next thing, that we defined ourselves as 360-degree festival. So, of course, the core of Gamescom is always the community. So we weren't focused on experts, media, special interest creators also, but, in the core, it's community and all sorts or all areas of the gaming culture. So, be it the biggest B2B conference and
Expo, yeah,
for Europe, or also the B2C part, festival music. We do have esports as part of it. We have conferences. We have DevCom for the developers. So over the years, there has been built a lot, and also over the past years, all the digital components like Epics, which is a game within Gamescom, or of course, Opening Night Live with Jeff Keighley. Or some indies, a show for indies, the studio with IGN. So it's a lot in the universe. And I think important for that, not only to be able to offer people what they like, because the times are over when you just said, here's your space, square meters, XYZ, and you build your booth and that's it. But sometimes your lineup requests something else than the next year. Sometimes you want to get involved with developers because you are planning to, hire people. And sometimes you want to use with the announcement at the Opening Night Live, when you just have a trailer but not the play all game. Sometimes you do something else. So I think that's part of it. And also just to say, when he said others also had digital component, that was tough. In what was it, 2019? First pure digital, or 2020, the first digital Gamescom. The whole part of the website, when we did Gamescom Now with the digital experience, we threw everything away and built it from the scratch for the next year, because we thought it's not good enough. So that was heavy investment, but we went there and said that this will be part of it. And I think also not everyone was able to do so or willing to do so. So in the end, it was part of the advantage here.
Yeah, interesting. I'll ask one more E3 related question. Now that E3 is not in the calendar, and I know there's Summer Game Fest and stuff like that, has that had a positive or negative effect on Gamescom?
I would say both. We were in a great partnership with E3 all the years, and it was never like competition. It was more, announce your game at E3 and play it at Gamescom or something like this. So now it's somehow good, because people expect us to be the major global week for games with the highest visibility for everyone. So that's also our responsibility to present a stage for the industry to fulfill this need. Also, it's a disadvantage because it's not so strongly in the calendar. So sometimes, we had to deal with the HQ teams more, and it needs to fit the global calendar for the companies. So I think in the past years, it was a struggle and was a lot of discussion with some of those. But if you see the lineup now and who's part of Gamescom, almost everyone is there. So I think we were successful in getting almost everyone back to Gamescom, and show that even if you can do a lot of what you want to do marketing-wise, purely digital, for the community and for the involvement and the engagement, and also for all the areas getting involved with creators, with the general media, with special media, with politics, for example, with your communities, Gamescom is the best place to do that.
What's your long-term goal for Gamescom now?
The vision is to make it even more international and to have a bigger digital reach, international reach. I think there is, the numbers on site, we are limited. Even if we put one more hall or two more halls next to it, it might be not 350,000, but 400,000. But you have to take care that you still feel nice and it's not too full. So that's not the KPI where we can have growth. We have seen a tremendous growth in the awareness worldwide for Gamescom and digital visitors and co-streamers and partners. So I think that's an area definitely where we can grow. And also it's interesting that we do see many non-endemic companies and like streaming companies, Netflix, other partners who want to be involved in Gamescom, and we need to take care that it's still a gaming event and we find the right partners who can show the right match in these connecting ecosystems and connecting cultures, gaming culture with other cultures, because games is the greatest force of pop culture. So we do see this in the games universe and the games culture, and we do have, we want to have this represented at Gamescom as well. That's also interesting. You will see like partners like Paramount and Disney and Netflix as well. Oh, and that's interesting because it's part of gaming culture, as you can count how many content of Netflix is actually gaming content. So I think these are some areas of what we are doing. And also I always say it's a responsibility. If you lead a market, and we are delighted that Gamescom is the biggest event worldwide. If you lead a market, you need to lead it and to push for new developments and new things you can do. That's part of the responsibility, and we want to do that also for the next years.
That's Felix there talking about the recent past and the future of Gamescom. Some of the things that he actually talked about, which I didn't include in the interview, which he talked about in the business area now, they always had, I didn't even know this, they had a kindergarten where you can...
What?
Yeah, you can take your kids, but it was only for 4+, and they started to see increasing number of people bringing young children, and there were people asking, is there a place I can breastfeed my kids or my kid? And the answer was no, actually. So they've now included that and encompassed that and expanded that. I think the thing with Gamescom is they did spend money when everyone else was cutting, and they do everything to such a high degree. It's not just a business area, right? It's you get lost in that maze. It's
huge. I mean, they have bars in there too.
Your bars, coffee shops. I've been going for ever since they started. I even run magazines, and I used to do daily magazines at Gamescom. And the daily magazines featured a map of Gamescom, and I still got lost. My job was the map maker of Gamescom, and I didn't know my way around. It's huge. The consumer bit is obviously the biggest consumer show in the world. That retail hall at Gamescom is bigger than most consumer events.
It's like stepping off a plane in a hot country, going from the business center to the main halls. It's wild. I remember the first time I went to Gamescom, I did not know how to react to it because it was just bigger than anything I'd ever seen in terms of a show before. It was enormous and still is. What
my old boss set me up for when I went, he said, Gamescom, the venue, Colmess, is basically a town. It's like the scale of a town. And it's obviously, but and obviously they launched an announcement event. They didn't just do any old announcement event. They did it. They brought in Jeff Keighley, who produces the biggest announcement events globally. So they don't do there's no half measures at Gamescom. It's always like they do it properly and they do it big. And I'm going over there. They've got a partnership with us. They've got a partnership with all the media outlets. They reach out to them. They do things with them. IGN has this incredibly big booth that when I was briefly there, and then it is. I can say that's how they've done it, really. I mean, outside of the fact that it was Gamescom. Although one thing I'll say, despite the absence of E3, I don't think it's become a bigger announcement place.
No, I think that is the Game Awards.
Yeah, but even Gamescom used to be bigger for this. Like, I remember when the days when EA had its own press conference and Sony?
Yeah. I remember that was big for Vita, and indies were typically more...
Well, so the way Sony used to work when they were regional based is that it was the North American team handled E3. Gamescom was handled by the European team, and the Japanese handled Tokyo Game Show. And they were all competing with each other. So you get people in North America go, we'd love to have that Guerrilla Games game at E3. And then European lot goes, no, we're saving that for Gamescom. Thank you very much. It was like that. And of course they would sit there, if we give you a bit of Naughty Dog, would you give us a bit of, and it became a little bit like that. And also, Sony used to have quite local stuff. You know, there's stuff that we loved in Europe, but US to like, PlayStation, what move that? You know, and things like Invisimals or
that book thing.
You Wonder Book. That was announced at E3. That was announced at E3 though.
Oh my god! I remember it. I remember that E3 one because it didn't work.
Oh no! But what else was there that they would do? You know, Dreams, Media Molecule Games often was at
Yeah,
Gamescom.
I was going to say, what was the paper one they had?
Tearaway.
Tearaway was
that was great. It's my favorite. Xbox also did announcements at this event. It wasn't quite of the scale of Sony or EA, but it used to do announcements at its events. They still do. Xbox are still there. They still do stuff. And look, we know Call of Duty's there this year. Resident Evil was being shown on Tuesday as well. So there is stuff being shown and revealed. But because the big publishers now operate globally, there isn't the regional thing anymore. It's everyone's centralized. It's hard to secure those big reveals. Gamescom is absolutely 100% a beat in the calendar for pretty much most major games companies. It's just not necessarily the first beat. That might be the Game Awards. Or it might be something independent. It might be PAX. It might be Summer Game Fest. It's just, it might be Gamescom, but it's just
direct.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, or Nintendo Director, So there's just it just becomes a beat in that calendar. Are you expecting much this year, Lucy? I know there's been some. We know Resident Evil and Call of Duty's been announced as being there.
Yeah, I mean, I think there will always be surprises. There'll always be something big. I mean, you know, Jeff always puts on a good show opening night live. I suppose he is a bit more hamstrung by what is there at Gamescom, and there will always be surprises that you kind of find on the show floor as you walk around, or that travel by word of mouth. I feel the industry is still very much struggling. Well, that's an obvious thing to say, but, you know, in terms of just making sure that things hit certain beats. And I don't know if Gamescom is going to be as huge as the Gamescoms of old in terms of announcements, but I think it will still be. I mean, I'm also very daintily stepping around what I know.
Yeah, I know a couple. We've got some of the shows we've got going live next week. I've already recorded, which are about announcements. And the announcements I know of, and you might know of bigger ones because I'm the company, but the announcements I know of are, they're cool. They're fine.
There's a lot of stuff on my schedule that I am excited to see and play. And also, I think to Felix's point is that it used to be that E3 you would be announcing Gamescoms when you'd get to play. And even just looking at my schedule, the amount of stuff that I am going to get hands-on with is great. And that's the part that is the most exciting to me.
I think because of the nature of my journalism, I have one hands-on session across the whole of the thing. It's a few people who invited me to see their stuff, but it's just the sort of thing that I do. It used to be when I was even at E3, I basically would people go to EA. I'm at E3 and you go to EA booth tour and you'd be like 3 hours there to see all their games. I would turn up, interview like Peter Moore for 30 minutes and then walk away. And that was me. That's EA and me done for the whole.
Yeah. See you later.
Yeah. But the good thing was I had always a bit of time where I can arrange to, not to often go to the Nintendo booth.
I was going to say, just pop in and just have a look.
Yeah, just for fun. But it's hard for me to justify it. I think there's going to be some cool stuff and there'll be plenty of stuff to talk about. But it has a different role to play, I think.
It does.
I think it's a lot more about that actual hands-on experience. I think it's a little more media-friendly than some of the other events.
I don't think they have a dedicated media lounge, though, do they?
Or they've got 2 press rooms. Because the event is so huge. There's press rooms at the opposite ends of the conventions. One in the business area-ish, and there's one in the sort of front of the consumer area.
Right.
I've never really used it because every time I've been at Gamescom, I said, we'd love our own room. And they go, here you go. And they give us like a little office to work out of. Or
that's nice.
In the parliament years ago, I had a little booth as well. It was all...
Fandom has a booth this year. Which I'm thrilled about. A place to decamp and just sit for a bit. Oh my God. I'm already excited at the prospect of sitting down at Gamescom. That's how you know it's bad. Yeah.
Well, let's shift our topic, which is connected to Gamescom because it's actually data firm Ampere has released some statistics about European gamers. The firm says that more gamers in Western Europe are spending money on new games, in-game resources and subscriptions compared to a year ago. However, the average spend per gamer has declined. Louise Waldridge, a senior research manager at Ampere, says that more people are spending, but they're spending smaller amounts. This fascinated me. Last week, I spoke to Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick, and he was commenting about how in tough economic times, people gravitate towards the highest quality stuff. In other words, they might spend less overall, but as long as you deliver the best stuff at the best value, you'll be fine. Ampere's research doesn't necessarily contradict that, but it actually suggests consumers are buying more on the smaller, lower priced items in games. So I asked Louise about this on the call we had earlier today, and this is what she said.
We're sort of saying that more gamers are spending on things like in-game spending, subscriptions, expansions. They're still spending on full games. But I think something that we've seen this year a lot is higher spending on more kind of mid-price and indie games.
Yeah.
So things like Expedition 33, which obviously did incredibly well. Indie games like Schedule 1, Repo, all of that kind of stuff have just had a really standout year this year.
Yeah, Peak for like one, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Peak as well. And that's probably linked to the kind of macroeconomic situation. Of course, there are all really good games in their own right. But yeah, I think it's definitely connected.
Yeah. So that's Louise sort of talking about where people are spending money. This is really the big question. Like, if people in tough economic times, with people in trying to choose, people going, well, we still want to spend our money on entertainment, but what do we do? Are they spending their money on more things? Are they finding things that are cheap? Did people buy Expedition 33 because it was cheap, or was it
because it was good?
Because it was good. And I think the answer is perhaps they gave it a go. More people gave it a go at the start because it was more accessible, because it was in Game Pass, because it wasn't quite necessarily the full price mega title. But I'm not convinced with either argument, really. I think looking at how, and the thing is with this data, it's all consumer research, and I find it gives out wildly, in this sort of unpredictable environment that we live, it gives in wildly different responses. They have some other stats. 43% of Western gamers aged 13 to 64 said they bought a new game in 2024, which is a 4% increase over the year before. There's also a rise in subscription services. According to Ampere, 36% of their European gamer panel subscribed to subscription services, up from 27% the year before. It's actually similar to what Sakana said. Sakana said there's been consistent growth with subscription services at the start of the year. The subscription is interesting because, again, I don't really know why this is. Is it because of Call of Duty going into Game Pass? That clearly had an impact. Game Pass had a strong release lineup all year. Nintendo Switch 2 launched with, you get a Nintendo Switch 2, you got a Nintendo Switch Online with that. So that provided a boost. But both Louisa Ampere and Matt Sakana believe the economic situation is potentially driving more customers to value offerings like subscription services.
More bang for your buck.
Yeah, I can see that. I subscribe to all of them, but I tend to gravitate around the Nintendo Switch Online retro stuff because I'm old.
That's actually the one that I don't have. For my sins, I never grew up really with Nintendo, so I enjoy and play Nintendo titles, but I don't have that pull towards them, I suppose. And actually the Switch 2 is my least played console, but then again, I'm a PC gamer now. So I believe that makes me better than everyone else. If the internet is to be believed, I'm kidding. But so despite having all of the subscription services, I default to, is it on Steam? Because I have a PC plugged into my TV. I have a wireless keyboard and a wireless mouse. I do the whole thing. I'm an absolute degenerate. But it's just, I in my brain, because it's all in one launcher, that's easiest for me to see it's there and play it. And I don't know. It's
this price conversation. Because I bought, one of the games I think is interesting, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4, right? I'm a massive Tony Hawk's fan. I'm just absolutely. I bought that game. I had it on Game Pass, so I had it on console version, but I bought the Switch 2 version as well because I wanted a portable version. I would have bought it. They could have charged £100 for that game, and I bought it because I'm in on it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I look at the numbers, and the Game Pass numbers are great, but the rest of them aren't. The PlayStation numbers are quite low, and
it's interesting.
I was like, well, maybe they should have gone at a lower price because it's a bit smaller. But then, of course, I start reasoning that if they went for a lower price, they'd have missed out on money from me. And Jordan Midler, our sort of friend at VGC, he's like me. He'd probably spend extra for it. And I think you can always go down in price. And we are starting. That's the big trend. We're seeing people buying games later. And so when you've got something like Tony Hawk, and you've got a dedicated audience, maybe small, but they will spend on it. And then you can go to half price on Black Friday, and you could bring in a load of other people that are perfectly happy to wait because we've got so much stuff to play, watch, listen to. We're swamped with it. They just released a Night Dive, one of my favorite studios, just released that Hex and Heretic pack. And I definitely want that game. But I'm still going for Donkey Kong Bonanza. I've got the Night Dive's last game, System Shock 25th Anniversary Edition, System Shock 2, to play through. And I just thought, by the time I get to it, it might be in a sale somewhere. And
well, that's the thing. I am a big wish list person on all platforms. So I get, as soon as that price drops, I get the email, and that's what, I get my purse strings.
My life is so chaotic that
you don't need another email.
I can't plan for that. The truth is, I would probably never ever get to Heretic or Excellent. But anyway, yeah, I should really do that. It would give me a little bit, but I'd probably spend more. I'm not sure that's a good idea. But I'd end up having a longer list of things to get through. I'd have a longer.
Well, that's the thing. I have like a to-do list of games to get through. I have certain lists on my Steam where it's want to play, backlog, abandoned but get back to, things I played in next first. I am an obsessive list person. And so even being very type A about it, you still can't get to everything.
No.
There's so much choice.
There's so much stuff. And I think that means that that's created a sort of phenomenon. I mean, it's always been a case. People are happy to go back to things, but everything's also siloed because the way media's been spread out, it's not like that one thing everybody's playing. You still get Baldur's Gate 3 moments and stuff like that, but you don't get as many of them. There's in my community, everyone's playing Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I was talking to another group of people recently, and they said, "Oh, did anyone buy that game? No one play that game." Like, everyone's playing that game, but we live in different online ecosystems, and we see different things, and that is and that I do. I'm interested to know how that phenomenon shakes out, but I don't necessarily think that. I don't know if people are necessarily gravitating towards lower price things. I think it just happens to be this is a year where there's been a lot of things that have been slightly lower price and people happen to have bought them because they're good.
I think as well, though, when you are gravitating towards something that is a lower price, it is the little treat. It's, I deserve something, but I'm not necessarily going to spend 70, 80 quid on something. However, this game, it's $5. I'm trying to localize because I've been stuck in America for too long. It's like, it's £5. What's that? A cup of coffee? And there are ways that you can rationalize things. And God knows I do it all the time when I'm out and about. And that's where I wonder, it's like, hey, it's still this little hit of serotonin because you bought something for yourself, but you don't buy something that's expensive enough to make you feel guilty about a purchase.
I think it depends on, to sort of go with that. I think Expedition 33 would have done worse if it was priced higher, if it wasn't in Game Pass and all those sort of things, because the fact that game was cheaper and more accessible brought more people in that spread. Particularly if it's a new IP, right? If Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 34, it knows what its audience is. It knows who's probably going to spend the premium deluxe edition, and it knows what it's going to do for that. If you're a new IP, if you're a new game trying to stand out, you can't charge too much for it, really. And I think that's, and even games like Mafia: The Old Country, which has a slightly lower price. I'd love to say it's slightly lower price. It's still, for me,
how much is Mafia?
It's now $50 or something.
50? Yeah.
Yeah. It's just been some other Ampere.
I do wonder how Mafia is performing. It's an interesting little game.
Yeah. It's made in the UK. A lot of that was made in Brighton.
Oh, and Hangar 13, yeah.
Yeah. Now, some other stats from Ampere. There are between 10 and 13 million fewer gamers.
Oh.
Louise told me at the moment than there was during the peak of the pandemic.
Oh, people gone outside.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of people one of the facts I love about it is that if at one point the Wii Remote returned to the Amazon charts during the pandemic, right?
Somehow the Wiimote returned.
And that was because there's lots of people going, I used to play. I need something to play with. Oh, what about this box that we've had in the cupboard? But
blow the dust off the top.
People might go, that's a bad thing, we lost all these gamers. But I think it's an opportunity. These people did come back, and they can come back again if you give them something worth coming back for. And now for a sponsored message from Green Man Gaming. Green Man Gaming is creating new revenue streams and discoverability options that will help businesses extend the life cycle of their video games and grow their audience. Green Man Gaming recently revealed its Charity Bundles platform, a curated way for publishers to reach new audiences, generate incremental revenue, and support causes that matter. The platform offers transparent stock levels, instant key fulfillment, and regional pricing, all while raising funds for charities such as Special Effects One's Special Day. You can get involved at www.greenmangaming.com/company/charity-bundles. Elsewhere, Green Man Gaming Distribution is a new service that helps studios boost discoverability by activating titles across 180 plus vetted retailers, reaching over 100 million gamers and delivering up to 20 to 30% more revenue compared to Steam-only sales. Now, back to the show. Before we wrap up the show, time for some of the other stories to run through. During Sony's financials, Sony SVP, I didn't put his name down here, probably meant that I couldn't pronounce it. Sony's SVP said that in the gaming business, the company is moving away from a hardware-centric business to the community-based engagement business. This follows the news that Helldivers 2 is coming to Xbox. It follows Lego Horizons Adventures coming to Switch. It follows an increasing number of PlayStation games coming to PC. Naturally, social media commentators are being cool and collected about what that might mean. Oh, no, wait, they're proclaiming the end of exclusives and the death of PlayStation as we know it. Lucy, you must have seen this.
They were following suit from Xbox because, yeah, consoles are expensive. Hardware is expensive to manufacture. Why not just put your games out on other platforms?
Well, Sony is a hardware company at its heart. I think this is a bit of a real pivot for them because they've always made machines. That's what they do. Xbox we're going down the software and services route. I'm like, well, that's what Microsoft has always been. But I don't think I think this is, well, Sony's not at the point of bringing God of War to Xbox. What we're seeing here is live service games being everywhere, which is sort of essential.
Makes sense.
Legacy games coming to PC. We just seen Stellar Blade, which is a PlayStation game recently, delivering huge additional revenue on PC.
Kids games.
Yeah.
Makes sense for Lego
Horizons. Yeah, Lego Horizons on Switch makes absolute sense. So it's audience expansion. But it is worth noting, Xbox as a hardware company is dying. As a games company, it's never been bigger, but as its consoles are declining. I saw some numbers for the US in June, and it's so low. I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually some of the lowest monthly sales figures Xbox has ever published.
Wow.
They've clearly cut their production. There will always be Xbox consoles. Of course, they're about to release some handhelds. But when your main rival, so from Sony's point of view, when your main rival simply isn't playing anymore, the incentive to gatekeep all your content, it's sort of gone. Not entirely, certainly to some degree. Although one thing I thought, Xbox delivering really low numbers. PS5 is not making up the difference. It's broadly keeping track with PS4, and that's despite what's going on. That's, so it's keeping track with PS4 despite the fact its competitor sort of not playing anymore.
Is bowing out.
So the console world is shrinking. I think that's what we're seeing at the moment. Maybe that might change. I hope it does. But the reality is right now, younger gamers are not engaging in consoles in the same way that they did when I was younger, or perhaps when you were younger, Lucy.
Kids and their phones, yeah. Attention economy, right? It is what else is taking up everyone's time. It is the doom scrolling. It is
Roblox.
It is Minecraft still. It is being on an iPad, which can do... I mean, that's the thing. Like when we were kids, we did not have this magical all-in-one device, and now everyone just has it in their pocket.
Yeah.
Why would you need to, break your attention from one thing, go through the arduous process of turning on something else, booting it up, downloading something, when, hey, I could just play Roblox on my phone?
Also, the cost of these consoles is so much higher today than they were even a generation ago.
Yeah.
And that's going to put off maybe some even more established console users are going, you know what, I'll wait for GTA 6. Look, Sony is absolutely right, and Xbox is absolutely right to focus on its services, focus on its games, building that community. Console hardware is part of that. That's part of it. But I think it makes sense to go, the platform for Sony is PlayStation Network, just as the platform for Xbox is Xbox Live or Game Pass. Do I think we're seeing PlayStation doing an Xbox and going full multi-platform? I don't think we're seeing that yet. I don't think we're near that point yet. But they ultimately still want people. They want people to buy their machines, right? Over a PC, over an Xbox, over a Nintendo Switch 2, even. But they are on a similar path to Xbox in that they want their games to sell to more than 20 million people. They want to grow that, and the way to grow that is to go to where they are, rather than expect them to come to you. So I think, on the one hand, a little bit of, I'm not expecting Spider-Man 2 to have an Xbox edition. Xbox is an interesting one because it's such a smaller platform and it's getting smaller.
I was going to say, is it even worth their time? PC makes a world of sense. PC is, the year gap they kind of leave before putting things on PC? And then they see a huge bump in sales and boom, lovely.
Helldivers 2 on Xbox makes sense to me.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw Helldivers 2, it looks like an Xbox game, right? So,
it's actually,
I don't know if it makes sense for Horizon or anything, but
But I think there's a pride thing in that too. I don't think PlayStation, you said it earlier, I don't think PlayStation would want Kratos on Xbox.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I just think ultimately they want people to buy a PlayStation.
Exactly.
That's what they want. And I think the best thing they've got is their exclusives.
Well, that's the Nintendo model, right? It's, hey, you have to come to us if you want to play these games. We are not putting them on anything else.
But what's funny about the reason why Xbox and PlayStation were always lumped together is that if you look at the reasons of why people buy a PlayStation, there's loads of reasons. But the big reason, it's for NBA, it's for Madden, it's for EA Sports FC, it's for Call of Duty.
It's for M-rated games.
Well,
Nintendo.
Well, yes, I guess it is for more adult titles there, you know. But it's the same reasons. Those are the same reasons people buy an Xbox.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, they were actually talking to the same audience a lot of the time. Nintendo, people buy, and that's why Switch audience is such overlap with PlayStation and Xbox all the time. Because if you want to play Zelda and Pokemon and Mario and Donkey Kong or, you know, Animal Crossing, Smash Brothers, whatever, you have to buy a Nintendo. You're not choosing between anything else. You just have to get that machine. They are also expanding their games onto other platforms, but not in the same way. This is a conversation that will run and run and run. Every single time PlayStation do anything that looks like it's moving to other platform, I suspect we're about to get a bunch of new Xbox announcements from PlayStation on PlayStation games after seeing how Forza Horizon has just done on there. But it's a definite change. Interesting to have another point about competition, but you know, it leads me into my next story. Battlefield 6.
Aha, yes.
It's doing pretty well. Have you seen?
Yeah.
Over 500,000 concurrent players it achieved during its recent beta. To put that into context, Call of Duty HQ, which is all of the Call of Duty games basically, its previous peak was 490,000. So it's beaten the Steam peak for Call of Duty. This prompted former Activision boss Mike Ybarra to post on Twitter, Battlefield will boot stomp COD this year. But the real win here is COD won't be lazy anymore and we'll all get better FPS games for it. Lucy, are you a fan of Battlefield?
I am in. Sorry, I'm just reeling from that interesting tweet.
Yeah.
So I was always more COD for sure. I dipped my toes into Battlefield. I was actually at the reveal event for Battlefield a couple weeks ago, and I did speak to Vince Zampella and Byron Bede about it. So I actually came away from Battlefield 6 very, very impressed. And it's very interesting to kind of loop things around to Gamescom, is that Battlefield instead, I'm not sure if they have a presence at Gamescom, but they are opting instead for people at home, which is the most important thing, is for people at home to be able to play it. And then, hey, that will convert into wish lists. Because what they're wish listing now is almost what? Well, it's well over 1 million.
Yeah.
I think I saw Simon Carlos's latest issue.
There's loads of stats about somebody's got 2.7 million and it's like, I don't know which number to agree. But yeah, it's a lot.
They got over 500,000 wish lists from the reveal event alone, I think was another thing that I saw. Whereas COD is, what are they doing? They'll be on stage at opening night live. I'm not sure if they'll be hands-on at the show floor, probably not, but then there'll be COD next, I assume.
Is this the glorified DLC here? I'm a bit concerned because Modern Warfare 2 was followed by Modern Warfare 3. Modern Warfare 3 was just...
This is the one... I don't know why Nine Inch Nails has become like weird connected. Well, I do know because they did the music for Black Ops 2. But as soon as I heard Nine Inch Nails in that trailer, I was like, oh, hello, we're Black Opsing again. And then they've got Milo Ventimiglia. They've got some weird, I don't know. I thought it was a Remedy game at first with that, like the weird broken glass.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, bloody hell, are they bringing back Quantum Break? But no, they're not. It's very, very interesting. And I'm... I mean, a lot of the people that I know who love Battlefield are very, very happy with the direction that 6 is going. I did have a really interesting chat with a friend of mine who is a streamer, and he said that he was really enjoying Battlefield. The gameplay felt great, but as a game to stream, Call of Duty Warzone is still better for streamers because in a Warzone match, there is a story in it, you know? And so I thought that was a really interesting approach that I wouldn't necessarily think of when it comes to judging a game based on what I'm playing. But yeah, for streamers, I thought that was a very different way of looking at it. But yeah, Warzone, I guess it's, you start at the bottom with nothing and then hopefully you come out at the end winning. Whereas Battlefield multiplayer, everyone starts out with variations of the same kit. You're working together. I mean, there is a mode where you have that kind of big, you kind of vie for zones, and then at the end, the music swells up and you're pushing up a hill and it gets really, really intense as you're all going for one point. I thought that was really cool. But in terms of storytelling, it's not.
Oh, it's interesting. We had Twitch on the show a little while ago, and they talked about GTA Online being hugely popular because of roleplay. It's not my world, but that's what was interesting.
It's storytelling.
To be fair, I love the Zampella story arc of him sort of being, Medal of Honor, the whole being shafted by EA, going to Activision, and then running back to EA. Not running back, but ending back at EA. But all, basically making the best Medal of Honor game, launching Call of Duty, and then Titanfall, and then Apex Legends now, and sort of leading the resurgence of Battlefield.
But that's the thing as well, because I mean, Byron Bede, who's like general manager of Battlefield, he was on Call of Duty, he was on Destiny, and then Marcus Leto, when they had Marcus Leto on Battlefield, was the Halo guy. And so it's very funny that they kind of had the infinity gauntlet of people who worked on these huge FPS franchises and brought them all to Battlefield for 6.
Yeah. Well, there are two challenges when it comes to watching a game, which is these are live service titles. There's always two challenges. The first challenge is something that Battlefield 6, I'm pretty sure, is going to overcome, which is getting people to play it. That is actually, believe it or not, that's the easiest challenge, and it's really hard. The hardest challenge is to keep them playing it. The last game to try and unseat Call of Duty was X-Defiant, which is Ubisoft's game. And
is a name I haven't heard in a while.
And it succeeded initially. It had a huge surge of people going, I'll give this a go. This looks interesting. This looks different. We're a bit, we're tired of Call of Duty. We'll try something else. But ultimately, Call of Duty is where they've got their friends. It's where they've invested all of their money. It's where they've got all their experience, hundreds of thousands of hours of leveling up and stuff. So eventually they just went back. And that happens a lot. We see that a lot of people giving something a go and then going back. So Battlefield, people talking about it bootstopping Call of Duty. It's on the back foot. It's on the back foot, not because of a smaller franchise, on the back foot because even if it's a really, really good game, it has to really convince people to stay and keep playing. I mean, one thing I do agree with him on, competition is really important, but not because folks are lazy. I think that's a bit of a. I think people. The thing is with competition is it forces you to go out of your comfort zone and try stuff and do things you hadn't done before. I look at everything that sort of declines, and I do think when things start declining and things start getting small and things start disappearing from the competition, people don't feel the need. They don't feel. Why would they? Why would it even occur to them to let's break all the rules and change everything that we know is working? Because you're trying to undermine or come up with something new to try and beat your competitor. You wouldn't do that. Isn't natural. And Call of Duty being the main shooter in town, the war shooter in town, it hasn't needed to. It tries to innovate, it tries to do cool things, but it doesn't try and break anything because it's working. And this might force whether it's Call of Duty or Battlefield or anyone to try and do things. I look at the games media with the drops and the number of people, websites. I always think that when CVG went, Eurogamer got worse. Not because Eurogamer's team was remotely lazy. They worked super hard. They just
didn't have anything.
They didn't have anything to have. They had to try and work past or get over or. If somebody else is spending loads and you can't spend that amount of money, you've got to think of a way of competing. So I do agree with them that competition is good, and I hope both of them succeed. And as a result, they both go even further than they hoped to before. But that's a big one, and well done for EA for choosing great numbers, and hopefully it delivers. Finally, this is your favourite bit, Lucy, financial results. You love financial results, don't you?
I love them.
We had a load of positive ones last week, not so much this week, or more of a mixed bag this week. Square Enix revenues down 25% due to a weaker sales of new titles. Sega sales are also down nearly 23% due to a lack of new games, but Sega actually is quite happy about that. They said it exceeded their expectations. In better news, Bandai Namco's Q1 was strong with sales up 7%. This is on the back of a huge boost in sales for Mobile Suit Gundam. The stuff.
I was going to say Night Rain, but no.
So Night Rain is also there. They're very happy with 5 million shipments for Night Rain. That seems to have done pretty well for them as well. And the one that I probably got most to say about is Take-Two. They delivered at 1.42 billion in net bookings. That's up from their guidance. Their top guidance was 1.3 billion. So it's a big jump on that. And that was because NBA did well, GTA Online did well, Civilization sales are picking up. The big one though is the performance of Zynga. which has had a very strong quarter on the back of Match Factory, Toon Blast, and Color Block Jam. I spoke to Strauss last week. We all get to do that, most of us in the business press around the numbers. We had an interesting chat about how he doesn't really worry too much about the financial quarter or even the financial year, and likes to plan for years and years and years ahead for the long-term
I also
stability.
wouldn't worry if I had GTA.
Well, yeah, but it's like the reason why that came up is I was talking to him about the fact that they're investing in new countries, and I was like, do these India and the Middle East and sort of places like that, and I was saying, does that generate good revenue for you? And it was like, no, but that's where that's where the next group of and that's where things are in 18 years time. But having said that, despite the fact that they look to the future, this financial year, they've got Borderlands 4, which is their biggest game that isn't called GTA or NBA. Mafia: The Old Country. They've got all those Switch ports, plus the usual WWE and NBA. That's this financial year. The next 2 financial years, there are 17 Take-Two games coming. 25 Take-Two games coming, including 17 what they call core games. That includes GTA 6 and 5 sports titles, 4 mobile games, and 4 new versions of older titles. I know that we've obviously got Ken Levine's game that's been in development for I think 1 to 105 years now, called Judas.
Yeah, I played that one last year. It's really intriguing. I want to see more of it. I think a lot of people. It's so funny because you can tell whenever anything happens about Judas, I get a bunch of tweets being like, "Hey, have you heard anything? Hey, have you heard anything?" And the Judas subreddit is. I want them to have a crumb of news because I feel very bad for the people of the Judas subreddit. They are desperate for anything to do with this game.
BioShock Infinite was what? March 2013?
Yeah.
Older than GTA 5.
Then there was the DLC, Burial at Sea, which was...
The year later.
14, And then, studio shut down. And then... Judas was properly revealed, Game Awards 22, 23?
Yeah. I remember writing the time about the launches at Ghost Stories, name the studio, and the whole thing was so we could make shorter games faster. And I'm making fun. I love Ken Levine. I love BioShock. I am very excited about his return. I'm being mean.
Judas is a really cool concept. I just want to see it, but it is, again, very, very ambitious. And I wonder when it's going to come out.
Yes, but that's on the schedule. It's supposed to be coming out soonish at some point within the next couple of financial years. Yeah. And there's Project E3’s from 31st Union, which is that extraction shooter. There's
Cloud. Well, I assume Cloud Chambers.
Yeah,
BioShock.
Yes, There's a few things that have been long in gestation that's sort of coming at some point. But anything jump out there for you? I mean, Take-Two. I just think particularly the 2K side. I know that Ghost Story is not 2K. It's technically an independent set standalone thing to it, but it's been a bit. They had a really quiet generation during the PS4 era.
They really did.
It's a little noisy this time, but they've had a few misses. That Midnight Suns and do very well,
which is such a shame because Midnight Suns is great.
It's amazing, yeah. And that Lego game, that Lego racing game, didn't do great for them either. I
forgot about that one.
But they've got, I think it's an interesting slate for them, and it's just. But the thing is, it isn't any of that stuff that's doing it. I mean, that stuff's doing fine, but it's the mobile games, and it's the it's the NBA stuff, and it's all that kind of stuff. WWE Supercard, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are a lot of these companies are reporting slightly better margins because they've laid off loads of stuff.
Line must go up.
Yeah. On that cheery note, I've run out of time. That's it for today's episode of the Game Business Show. Thank you, Lucy, for joining us again. It's always a joy having you on.
Thank you for having me.
And I'll see you in a few days.
I know. That's so exciting.
Yeah, for a Kolsch or whatever.
Oh, yes, please. Oh, I'm not a beer drinker unless I'm in Germany.
Yeah. It's just it's the rules. You got to sausages and beer is the whole Gamescom experience. Richard will be joining us. Our producer will be out there as well. We have 3 shows next week as part of our big Gamescom week. We also have a live show which we are recording and we'll put out the week after Gamescom. Thanks again to Lucy. All of our Gamescom coverage is sponsored by Keyword Studios and Green Man Gaming, so thanks to those folks as well. Until next week, thank you for tuning in.